Okay, here we go. After Party 30. We're going to talk about sessions 90, 91, and 92, titled Half-Ass Plan, Forking Paths, and The Lair.
All right. Good titles. Good titles all around.
I don't think I need to ask where any of those titles came from. Pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah.
I was a little disappointed with The Lair. I feel like it could have been better.
Could have had a better title, but like it was so apt to exactly what's happening. I mean, you figured out that you confirmed that it's the Kraken's lair in that episode.
Yeah.
It's a big deal,
Maybe
really.
it should have been the forking layer.
Not after the forking path, though. There's a little too much forking going on there.
There's never enough forking.
Man, that joke's getting old.
Hey, remember when John completely broke?
Yes.
Oh man! All right, so we start out in Alamar's office with a Shakara dream, right?
Yeah.
Orgasmic, one might say.
Yeah.
Wanted to say I felt the wind through my hair, but before I said hair, I realized I don't have hair, and I just kind of trailed off on what my dream was.
Yeah, that was an interesting. That was an interesting description, Leland. Tell us what was going through your mind when you described this orgasmic feeling.
Where are we getting orgasmic from?
That's what Leland said.
If you go back and listen, you can now. If you go back and listen to when I first met Dendar, when I first decided to become a warlock. If you go back and listen to that now, it will all make sense. Well.
The orgasmic part?
You'll know why, but I don't know if it'll make sense, but you'll know why.
All I know is John said he had to get himself
A brand.
a brand.
Look,
Yeah.
the listener will be dialed in tune with Shakara's orgasmic experiences. All right, it doesn't need to make sense for the three of you. It makes sense for Emily, myself, and the listener. We're sharing this orgasmic experience. The three of you are not meant to be part of it. So
I think there's a word for that when there's
four of us,
more than two people.
Well, I mean, with listener, it's a menage a many, I think. So
Yeah. We're off to a good start tonight, folks.
Well, these 3 episodes was like a string of showcase Shakara and all these new abilities that she's been granted. Like it was like one after the other. Like Shakara's like, oh, I can do that. Yeah, I got that covered.
Yeah.
It's okay. I can do that. It's like, holy fuck.
She's like, oh, I can see.
Yeah, so you see, taking more than one level of warlock pays off.
That felt pointed.
No, not at all, no.
I mean, I think if Bill had a choice, he wouldn't have taken any level of warlock, so.
Well, Bill had a choice.
I did, yeah.
To die or take a level of warlock?
No.
Okay, I never went back.
I don't know if we discussed this on mic or not, but I think there would have been a potential opportunity, whether it would have been successful or not, I don't know, but there would have been space provided for Falzarin to potentially be rescued and get out of Izzy's grasp before he got...
Had you not taken her offer, an offer you couldn't refuse, there would have been consequences, right? Ultimately what would happen in that fight was by the time the party got there, 1, you would have been much weaker, and 2, there probably would have been more fully formed flesh golems more quickly as well. So that fight in general would have been more difficult had you tried to hold out against what she was trying to do, kind of thing. So yeah.
Right.
There certainly was a choice. You wouldn't have been outright killed. Well, okay. Well, if you don't want my offer, you're dead.
Yeah.
And he's like, but I love Eldritch Blast.
Yeah, so it was a discussion we had ahead of time. It wasn't just sprung on me without any warning. And,
absolutely.
But it was a terrible deal either way.
It was a very poor scenario. Yes, and I will remind listener specifically who was asking that question in Discord. Was it Super
It was
Dave?
Super McDad.
Super
Yeah.
McDad. Super Dave.
We talked about
Super
it.
We should start calling him Super Dave.
No,
like
we
that.
should not. He is a Dave, but he is not super. Nor is he a stuntman. But I will remind listeners that entire scenario was what came about through a lot of party decisions and a lot of things that happened before, right? Like, there was a chance to avoid that scenario entirely had some things and some events transpired a little differently.
All this about taking a second level of Warlock, correct? It's just your second level?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, well, why would Bill take a second level of Warlock when he is right now currently planning to try to sever that bond with his...
No. Yeah, no, it was just
Wouldn't
because
make sense.
Dave was asking about it, saying that taking a level Warlock seemed pointless for Shakara.
Oh, and yeah, well, you're showing him, I mean...
Yeah.
I think on Twitter you're like, wait and see.
There you go. Take that.
Exactly.
Give me one more episode and you'll find out.
Take that, Super Dave.
That's so super after all.
Shakara's definitely
Regular
getting
Dave.
some cool things. Shakara was...
Dave.
Sorry. All right.
I was listening back to these episodes. Shakara was doing some cool stuff. I was really digging it.
Oh, yeah. She wakes up. She can read the entirety of this surreptitious practices. Like, oh, this is what's going down. We got some info here. And then, like, she sees in the dark. She's in magical darkness.
I only see in the dark. I see in magical darkness.
Yeah, that's really
Yeah.
sweet.
She's fucking hellish rebuking people like crazy.
And
like,
the burn. Oh man, that almost like gave me goosebumps.
Simmer.
That was so good.
That was such a good joke.
Boil.
What's
Wait,
the
so
name of that ability to be able to see through magical darkness?
I will have to look
it's
it up.
it's one of the two invocations that you get to choose at second level. Yeah.
The ability to see through magical darkness.
No, there's a name for it. Anyway, it's not that big of a deal, but
But that is where both of those abilities, be able to read any writing and see in all types of darkness, did come from invocations in which you got access to at Warlock level 2, right?
It is innocently called Devil's Sight.
Devil's Sight. Gotcha. Yeah, I remember reading about that way back in the day when I first took a level of Warlock.
Yeah, when you were looking at contemplating maybe progressing with them. Yeah.
And the other one is Eyes of the Runekeeper. I can read all writing.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing that one. That's very cool.
Emily, did you take the Eyes of the Runekeeper just because you knew we needed someone in the party to read Sylvan?
Yeah, because he keeps throwing Sylvan everywhere, and none of us can read it. I'm like, we need to be able to read this stuff.
It's been since
Sylvan.
the very beginning that we needed Sylvan.
Yeah, it's like since like episode 6 or something, or session 6, I think, where you first
cave.
found some Sylvan plans and stuff. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Isabella's lair. Lair to lair. Sylvan to Sylvan.
It all comes full circle. It's almost as if they planned it that way.
Bald Shakara.
What? No.
But I mean, session 90 was a lot of talking, right?
Yeah, and
Yes.
Shakara is confiding in Falzarin. I go from wanting to kill him to he's really my only confidant now.
It was so cute.
Yeah, I really liked that that little bit of roleplay. I'm excited for Falzarin and Shakara to not be at odds so much. So that was cool.
You're the only one that really can kind of understand sort of what she's going through, I think, because you also have a patron. I mean, it's a different relationship that you have. And as I said in the episode, one of these episodes, my patron is better than yours.
Nana Nana Boo Boo.
I got the shaft on my patron.
Yeah, I don't know what Mia would make of there being a higher power that's not Thor granting people abilities, especially compared to the way that Falzarin's patron is trying to kill him. And Shaft may not be the judgmental type, but still not that close with him, so...
I don't remember that comment from the first playthrough, but like re-listening, I definitely heard your comment like, I don't know what Mia would think, and I was like, huh, what would Mia think?
Yeah, exactly.
Mia would obviously understand and be aware of other powerful entities that do bestow powers upon their worshippers, but specifically this type of entity. I mean, I think you've all done checks to figure out what you as characters know about Dendar. We have had that in the past, and I believe Mia, based off her role, was certainly aware of the name Dendar, and a little bit about kind of what they're about, but doesn't know too much information about them. As again, much of the teachings and readings in which you partook as a youngling was centered on Thor and Thor-centric, right?
Right.
Obviously, as a cleric, you have knowledge of the pantheon of gods and or other beings.
Well, I think that's a good point, is like, Mia is young. Mia's been away from home for a year. And I think in the year she's been away, her eyes have been opened in different ways. And especially in the things that she's gone through with this party. Like, I think she'd be more open to it now than she ever would have been.
Right, like, open to, like, the possibility that, like, other types of power can be beneficial.
Yeah, like, Thor is not the only benevolent god. Like, there could be other good gods or spiritual beings or,
Well, I think also Shakara has in the back of her mind that this might not all be on the up and up. She's heard things that makes her concerned about the whole situation. That would
concern me more than anything, I think.
And I think she's worried not only of being judged by Mia, but having to confront those thoughts as well.
Well, because I might ask you questions that provoke those thoughts, and then
that I won't want to answer.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I gotcha.
Whereas Falzarin just accepts it.
I actually really liked the part of that episode while you guys were talking where Shaft and I were learning the manacles. Because I actually felt like it was like really good. I felt like it was good acting. We're like, so you do this. And I'm like, uh-huh. And then this. Yeah, I'm with you so far. And then Shaft was were you going to leave it, John, at just not telling me about the magical abilities or what?
Oh, no. For how the manacles worked, I think we went over all that, right?
Yeah, well, you were like, okay, that's it. And I was like, wait, didn't you say they're magic? And you're like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think, I don't know if I mean, the point, I think, of the manacles was to gain trust with one of you, right? Because I could let somebody else have this ability. And I think at first Shaft wanted to do it with Falzarin, right? Because he trusts Falzarin the best. But the opportunity presented itself with, he didn't really want to be manacled. And then to go with either you or Shakara, I think from Shaft's perspective, gaining a little bit of trust with you is probably the most important play right now. You're the most powerful.
Ooh, thank you. Wow, I'm blushing.
I think from Shaft's perspective, you are. I mean, every interaction we've had in battle, you've been able to fly and smash people's heads in with hammers and lightning falling. I mean, if you look at it just from that perspective, yeah, you're definitely seem to be the most powerful.
I will never forget the
Geneva
head bashing.
Oh,
Geneva,
that
rip.
was so ruthless.
Rip Geneva. Well, for sure, John, like, I kind of, logistically, as Elena, was like, well, I'm not attuned to anything, so I might as well throw my name in there. But story-wise, I mean, I think it's a cool bond between Shaft and Mia. I think that's cool.
Yeah.
I can't wait to use them.
I think it's a good thing to have in our back pocket. At some point in time, we're going to be separated.
Oh, dude,
and,
for sure.
We can, play that out when that happens.
Absolutely.
I
was very surprised that Falzarin didn't want any part of them. There was an instance, I don't know if it's already passed and it's been edited out or coming up, that Bill misunderstood how they worked and thought the teleportation worked the other way around.
Yeah.
As in the manacled person was teleported back to you, not you to them. I don't know if that played into Falzarin not really wanting anything to do with him, because, like, it's a pretty cool ability. Like, it can very well come in handy.
Yeah, it definitely is. It's basically a teleport spell built into them, so which is very powerful.
Yeah, if Shaft would have been able to find a crew member on the boat to shackle, then he'd be on the boat with Grimby right now.
Yeah.
Jeez. All right, bye, Shaft.
Yeah, I mean, all I wanted was something, so if I put it on somebody that was big or small, they were going to adjust to the size, because I thought that makes them a lot more beneficial to me no matter what I'm trying to capture. But then when he threw in the teleportation and everything on top of it, which I didn't know anything about, I thought, wow, I can use this in all kinds of ways, right?
Yeah.
Same way we use Pass Without a Trace really is to be able to sneak someplace and hide. Nobody can follow you. Nobody can track you. But we basically use it as a +10 to stealth.
Exactly. You
Yeah.
you are always the chasers with Pass Without a Trace, not being chased. Yeah, and
Right.
trying to
Does
escape.
does Pass Without a Trace, like the name would suggest, cover up all of your tracks?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh man,
That's its purpose.
we should be using, like, we should have used that when I first went to the Triton drop. Triton drop. Tritons carry tridents.
Tridents, yeah.
Unique New York.
Yeah, the very first time you went there, yeah, theoretically it should have been you and Shaft moving without Pass Without Trace, so no one could follow you. Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, that would have been a really good a good idea for sure.
I'm not used to using the spell in the right way.
Yeah, well, right.
I also didn't realize at the time how many uses you had per day, which is pretty. I think you said 5.
As a ranger, he has spell slots.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know where I'm at right now, but I had on my sheet.
I
I
see.
really don't do much except Hunter's Mark.
You're potentially using up Hunter's Mark ability as well if you were to use.
Right.
Gotcha.
We all got them spell slots now.
Yeah, that's one thing that we are really terrible about is keeping track of concentration, because Hunter's Mark requires concentration. So every time Shaft gets hit, he should be rolling for that Hunter's Mark, because
Right.
Hunter's Mark is
Yeah,
always active.
We don't do that.
And in many
as often
cases,
as we should.
it could burn through some of his resources more quickly that way too.
That's
Yeah.
true.
I feel like you're good about concentration for other people, like Falzarin or Mia, but the Hunter's Mark, for sure, it gets lost.
Honestly, though, I forget concentration on Falsey's Flaming Sphere
Yeah.
almost every time he casts it. In that first Anchor fight, completely forgot about him maintaining concentration. There was actually even a part in that fight that was edited out. I think we forgot a damage roll on something, and I'm like, well, it kind of balanced out because I keep forgetting to get Falza to roll concentrate. There was an instance of that. Yeah, it's
Fine,
difficult
so
to keep track
it's just targeted at Mia and her concentration on her storm. It's fine.
Yep.
It's fine.
Yep.
It's fine.
Well,
It's important.
I mean, your storm's pretty damn powerful.
I know. I think that's why he targets me and remembers
But
it.
realistically, those concentration checks are not something that I should be keeping track of. The onus should be on you as players to keep track of. And obviously, I can serve as a backup to make sure it's maintained and kept up, because it's less, for Hunter's Mark especially, it's less about the damage output that Shaft can do and more about eating through some of his resources for extended days where there are multiple combats. And that's something we spoke about last after party about myself and concerning encounter crafting, right? And needing to put you through the ringer because of the amount of power the four of you have at these higher levels, right? So that's really what is important about it, and maintaining that and keeping on top of that.
Now I'm going to put that on my memory sheet, that at the beginning of my turn, if I have Hunter's Mark, check for concentration.
Is that a saving throw?
It is a con saving throw, yeah. So being next to up front with Shakara definitely benefits in maintaining that concentration. Absolutely.
So I'm like picturing Shakara in the middle and Shaft and Mia like arms interlocked, like, all right, guys, let's do this.
Focus! Shakara's just yelling, focus!
And then burn. Alternately focus and burn.
Exactly.
You were good in the Hydra fight with my concentration on Bless. I mean, come on.
Yeah, but that's only because that Hydra fight, like when Hydra and the water elementals showed up at the end of 91, that was a break of one of our play sessions. And then the rest of that fight we picked up on a new play session. That was the only reason that I remembered concentration, right? It's because if we were still in the middle of that battle, I'm sure I would have forgotten to get you to make a check. Absolutely would have forgotten. Just because I had that respite, right? That brief gap in which I could compose more of my thoughts and reflect on what had already happened and focus on what was about to happen and coming up, kind of thing, right? Because it's very easy in the middle of a combat with a ton of stuff going on for all of us to forget something, right?
Yeah.
I mean, even with Evard's Black Tentacles, I completely blanked on that being difficult terrain as well. So the four of you were able to basically just break free and run right out of it without taking up twice as much movement to move through it, right? Which would have caught, I think, maybe only a couple of you in the back of that tunnel, right? You would have been in it for one more round, having to make another check kind of thing. But whatever, it is what it is.
So back in 90, we saw some of the dead elders and the dead incanters, and we had a discussion about whether or not to loot their bodies, essentially.
I thought it was more check for pertinent information.
So whether or not to check to see if they had anything on them that we would be interested in.
Like an ebony wand, for example.
It was a multi-purpose checking for a dead body for stuff, right? I mean, I think I even said to the guys, hey, they may have had some information that we were looking for, and just went ahead and did it.
I honestly think they never had a chance to do anything, to have any input in any of it, because Geneva never told them what was going on, and then they were dead.
Yeah.
I feel really sad for them.
Yeah, poor Sybil just clutching her ebony wand.
Oh, yeah, they got backstabbed like the rest of the city, and you all did, absolutely. Yeah. If you think of like what makes the most sense in the chain of events on this coordinated attack, right, on the city, it makes the most sense that the people that would be most likely to have the power and or want to interfere with what's going on would be the elders, right? So eliminate that possibility even well before you're attacking the anchor points kind of thing, right? So yeah. It was kind of this like culmination of quick events that if you get blindsided, you're dead, right?
Yeah.
And then, but those are events that I know I keep saying this, but like when that dome came up, like you the four of you could have been anywhere. If you were in this, like you could have been in the keep. Like maybe you could have still been snooping around in the keep. And obviously, then that chain of events, as far as how that fight goes, turns out completely differently. And maybe some elders are still alive because of your intervention in some of those, right?
Don't put that on us.
You're killing me, man. Come on.
Yeah, and you guys don't know about that wand yet either. I think I slipped that
No, none of us saw it.
Yeah, it was a very good sleight of hand, absolutely.
I specifically rolled to see if I could see it, and I didn't roll it well enough.
I think Shaft feels that this one might work better than the last.
Well, you've never seen it do anything, though. She's only
That's
ever
true.
just been holding it, so you don't even know what it does.
I mean, it's interesting, really, to think, what does a wand do and how do you know how to use it, right? It's a powerful thing. It's valuable as far as Shaft's concerned. Maybe not necessarily. It's a last resort that he can pull out of his pocket. But really, it's more, this could be very valuable.
Well, the question is does Shaft want to wait until he's in a last resort situation to bust out a wand that may
has
or
no idea
may
what's
not
gonna happen.
help him, or does he want to practice sometime when no one's around and see
Do you
what
think
it does?
Shaft practices anything?
He should.
Yeah, I don't think that's in the forefront. We've not had time to sit down and think about that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I think it's purely just bag it at this point.
Yeah, I don't know though. I feel like in these episodes like this, if there was a space to take some of that time, like now would have been it, right? Like now would have been the best time in a long time to take a bit of extra. Not obviously, it's not necessarily R&R, but like to dive into some things. Because I mean, I'm sure a lot of you feel like that you have very few answers here. And that obviously reflects on some of the plans that are some of these half-assed plans that are being made because you have half-assed information. So it's really not the plans don't suck because the four of your characters are shit at making plans. It's because they're the best that you can make on what you know, kind of thing, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Gathering the information is the important thing, but the way you have to do that is by going, right?
Yeah.
Which is what Shaft's character is. Let's go see what we run into and then deal with it at the time. And then as you gain information, you can make better decisions.
Yeah, and I think Shakara just wants to run out and attack stuff. Just point me in a direction and I'll go hit it.
I mean, I think that's why Mia was so frustrated with the plans. They were terrible, terrible, terrible plans.
Yes.
And this is not just Mia, this is Elena. I mean, standing at the top of the knowledge center looking out, right? I think we all would be completely crazy to be like, all right, frontal assault, let's go.
Well, we were never going to go frontal assault, though. That wasn't.
We were. That was the idea.
No,
No.
we were going to infiltrate and take out the leaders, but that I agree. That's still a terrible plan because
Yes.
eventually you then have to find your way back out from the middle of a small army.
Frontal assault means going up to the gate and standing there facing everybody and starting attacking. We were going to go around behind and try and sneaky.
We were gonna try.
Infiltrate and kill their leaders, which is a better plan, but still an awful
And then
one.
most likely die after we did that, but hopefully we would kill enough of them first.
Yeah.
I mean,
It was frustrating.
Yeah, to Elena's point though, like that was something that Dreg brought up, like going on the offensive, which
Yeah.
is definitely not Dreg's forte, and I think he spoke as much in the episode. But there's a you get to a point where being defensive is a sunk cost fallacy almost, right? Like
It's just a matter of time.
exactly. You're just delaying the inevitable. Action needs to be taken. Absolutely.
Yeah. Heracleon's under siege. Eventually they're going to run out of
Air.
You know,
eventually
water,
they're going to run out of air
food,
because the smoke was not escaping.
Right.
I'm sorry, the smoke was not escaping.
Yeah, escaping. Well, in general, I hadn't felt that frustrated ever as Mia. I have felt that as Bryn, and I think I acted a little like Bryn, because I think it's acting like Elena myself, let's be honest here. So, I don't know. It was episode 90, right, where I had to take a break from playing and just go let the dogs out and collect myself for a minute, because I was getting frustrated.
It actually was in 91, the point
Okay.
of you had come back from the knowledge center, speaking with Dreg again kind of thing. But yeah, there was a bit of a time where we had to take a 5 or 10 minute break. Some like even Shakara, Emily's roleplay with Shakara was getting heated with Mia, which I thought was awesome. I mean, I'm sitting back here enjoying how emotionally divested all of you are getting, and I'm loving it, even though maybe some tempers are flaring a little bit.
Even though it's super uncomfortable for us. Thanks. Great.
So I dug every single second of it. But that's what can happen at the table, right? Regardless of whether or not we're making a podcast. And I think it was very good that we took a break. And I've mentioned before in past after parties, we had that string of grumpy sessions where I should have taken a break myself. So there's definitely been occasions where we've neglected to do so when we really should have. So I think it was good that we did. Absolutely.
I think it's something that should be encouraged and very much accepted at the table at any group, right?
Absolutely.
If someone's having a rough go of things and needs to take a 5 or 10 minute break, clear their head and just take some deep breaths.
Go punch a wall.
Yeah.
Come back.
It says something about role playing, right? That it does have a sense of real emotion to it. You're invested in the character and the story and the things that are going on. And if we didn't have those emotional reactions, we wouldn't be really having all that much fun, would we?
Yeah, I think it's a great reflection on how fantastic role playing games are. The fact that, I mean, like you said, if you didn't ever get that reaction, what's the point, right? That just goes to show how much we are really, really into this, and that's why I love it, I think, because I feel like I know he feels like a real person to me.
Mm-hmm.
Falzarin and the rest of you as well, Shakara, Mia, and Shaft all feel like real people.
When you play video games and, I'm back when I played EverQuest and things like that, and somebody would mention years later, you have this picture in your head of those areas and the cities, and you can visualize it. With role-playing, we all have our own little picture in our head of what we're visualizing going on, and you're thinking of it like a memory, like what you went on vacation. And, when you say something about, going to Goldham, you suddenly in my head, when you bring up Goldham, I think of the landscape and the things that I saw. And so it's a neat, real experience that you're creating all together. And anytime you get 4 people trying to decide what to do, you're going to have some kind of argument between all of us.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's some pressures that we experienced that if we were just in someone's house playing for fun, like, we'd be like, all right, bathroom break, whatever. So I just think to bring it up and be like, hey guys, I need a break, felt really awkward in the moment. I'm glad I did it. Encourage it if you are dealing with that at home and frustrated with other characters or whatever. But in general, I do feel pressured that, like, how much of this content that we're producing is going to be usable. Like, we can't just talk in circles every time, can we? And
Right.
Shaft always wants to get the story going on. And you know, Shaft's opinion of Mia is that she's way stronger than Mia thinks she is. And, like, you know, all these things are going through my head. And listening back as a listener, I think those episodes turned out great. I'm glad we all asked the questions we did. I was in Mia's head. He was in Shaft's head. And yeah, being in your character, conflicting with another character can feel very real, like John said. So, like, Elena can get frustrated with John, or John could get frustrated with Elena, or whatever. But you
Right.
really do have to take those breaks. And we also, after the recording, I think even a couple of days later, just said, like, hey, are we okay? And talked it out. And I think that's important with role-play games as well. Check in with your party members. Apologize. Say what you need to say. You know, just make sure you're all in the clear.
I think that taking a break too allows you to. It's very easy when you're having a really heated moment in character, like what was happening there. I think all of us probably felt heated to varying degrees. But if that's getting to be too much, you take a break and it gives you a moment to realize that it's our characters that are getting heated with each other. You know, there's no problem between Bill and Emily, or Bill and John, or Bill and Elena. It's sometimes you need a minute to clear your head and remind yourself that like, we're not frustrated with each other. We're playing characters that are frustrated with each other, but sometimes it's hard to remember that in the moment.
Yeah, it does get difficult, absolutely. Yeah, and I mean, that break also helps the person running the game too, because realistically, as much as I was enjoying myself, you need to be in tune with your players too, right? You can't just you should be running the game that we all want to run, not the game you want to run, and those are very often not the same thing, right? And I should have been more proactive about, stopping the situation. But like Elena said, like, there is that content pressure, and if we were playing at the table, it would have been maybe a different story, and interrupting the conversation is what was going on. Because I thought Emily's role-playing Shakara's frustration was really good. Really good. And I thought it was funny. I love it when Shakara gets snarky. Going honestly. I love that the most. I love that so much.
Yeah.
So like, when we took their break off, it also gave me a chance to remind the group of, I reminded you of the torn page too, right? Because obviously I knew there was a bit of information. It was more information that I think we even, Shafty was like, well, that's not helpful in the episode. But it is at least something more, something else for the players to latch onto, for the characters to deal with or contemplate about dealing with, and maybe move forward past the point that you're getting stuck, past the sticking point kind of thing.
I mean, if the listener made it to episode 90, they know we talk in circles a little bit. They're used to it. And we're trying to get better at it.
Why change now?
Making bigger circles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
We're making more
just
mature
expand
Expand the
circles.
radius.
The circles are more mature.
So moving on from that, I just want to say I love you guys.
Oh, I mean, I love you too.
I love you guys too.
We found the smashed loot. Keck's loot all
I
smashed
know.
on the ground with some feathers. What
Shakara
happened
was
to Keck?
pretty broken up about that.
Yeah, because Keck is
Casualty of war.
Keck is my another connection to Dendar.
Yeah.
And
Text your Dendar, buddy.
yeah, and I know her backstory. I don't think you guys do.
No.
So
not to
I
the
was
extent you do, I don't imagine.
quite
I believe she's from the
concerned
Netherlands.
that she didn't have her loot. Her loot was very, very, very important to her, and the fact that it was smashed
Yeah.
meant nothing good for her,
Meant
because
she's
she would
dead.
not have willingly left that behind.
Yeah. No, I really liked that flavor that Leland added in. I thought that was a wonderful touch.
Personally, I thought it was kind of evil for him to be like, "Oh, by the way, you."
Well, it doesn't mean she's dead necessarily. There's just something happened. Keck was here. She was looking for Shakara, which is what we found out when we were talking to. I think it was Tenchi, right?
I love you, Emma. It was
Tenchi
cruel.
or Hef, yeah.
It wasn't our idea. It was Leland's.
So yeah, I thought it was a nice touch.
Yeah. I hope it like shows everybody, not just the four of you, but everybody that there's other things happening that aren't centered on the four of you, obviously, right?
Yes.
Like, there's so much other shit going on. And actually, this kind of plays into one last minute question that a string of questions that we just got from Dean. Good timing, Dean. We had literally just started recording as he posted those in the Discord. But he kind of asks, are we ever going to have any of the guest NPCs back on? And we've never really fully discussed that. Generally, we like as NPC, we haven't had an NPC guest die. Let's put it that way. Die on mic. So they're still kicking around and living, and we never close the door on that, or we try not to close the door on that. And we've had, I think, a couple instances where some NPC guest characters have come back in some post-credit scenes, which is always fun. Always so appreciative of those guests giving us additional time to record that on their end and all that kind of stuff. So that's always much appreciated. And I love those post-credit scenes. Like I feel like maybe we don't do enough, but I think where they come in at important parts. So I'm always happy with their frequency. And I would love to have some of these NPC guests come back on. But there's so many people that we want to have guests on.
That's what I was just going to say.
Yeah.
It's so difficult to have repeats at this point, right? Even though we get this snapshot of these characters, right? And that snapshot is kind of this very small Venn diagram, right, of this situation in which the party is, because obviously, I mean, they're guesting to interact with you, so that has to happen. And that is something we struggle with our guests, right? I will say on the record, it is impossible to have a guest on, interact with the four of you, and wrap up that interaction in an hour. Impossible. We cannot do it. It cannot be done. I'm stating that right now.
Not with the circles we talk in.
Not with these. I mean, I say small Venn diagrams, but obviously these circles are fucking huge in these diagrams. There's just nothing in them. There's nothing there. They're not filled with anything. They're empty circles.
I mean, what was the time we had a guest on and we had them waiting for 20 minutes because we couldn't figure out how to cross a river?
Yeah, that was Pat, and then
was
like
that Adelaide?
That was Pat. It took us 30 minutes for Patrick Hillier's character to get introduced in those caves, way back in section 17. Yeah,
we're getting better, okay?
Or
maybe you've just learned how to introduce someone to us without giving us any opportunities to slow it down.
Yeah, well, I'll say it's a learning curve for all of us.
It's definitely. I don't envy being the DM trying to juggle NPC guests for sure. Right?
Well, and I mean, on point, the curve is still the curve of a circle, so we end up right back where we fucking started. So like, I feel like no progress is ever made.
Hey, it's a helix. It can go north and south. Maybe it doesn't go east or west. Come on.
Yeah, it's tough. I would love to have. We've had some fantastic guests that I've really, really enjoyed, and I'd love to have them back on again. But like you said, there's an ever growing list of more folks we'd love to have on as well.
Absolutely.
So
I always like am cognizant of like getting into almost like this playing favorites thing. It's like, how do we choose who we would like to come back? I mean,
right.
I mean, fine. Keck's coming back, you guys. It's happening. She's our favorite. It's fine.
Well, I think you can weave it into the story, right?
That's
if we
exactly
go
right.
back to Mount Necrosis, get the stuff, and head back to Drakal, there's probably going to be a scene with Rugar.
Rugar, yeah, obviously, because it's pertinent to
right.
that specific character,
Right.
absolutely.
Exactly.
And currently, some events may or may not be pertinent to Keck's character, right?
Really?
Obviously, like Roll and Wright way back in Victor. I mean, who knows what's going on with him, right? Like, he may not even be a guard in Victor anymore.
He went to Drakal.
Yeah, he might be in Drakal. If we go back to Drakal, maybe we'll see him again, kind of thing.
Maybe
right?
he's taken up wizarding.
if you ever want to go find whatever island Statdorf is stranded on, maybe we'll save Statdorf.
Statdorf and Sally with their little kids running around. Yeah.
I mean, you'll take the Rising Three, find this island. They'll say, "We're happy here with Sally. Thanks for checking in, but see you later."
Wow, you came all this way.
Yeah, sorry you showed up here without calling first, but like we're busy.
Good for you. Bye.
They found a tree that sprouts moon pies, and they're just loving life.
An RC river.
Yeah.
Where were we?
Where were we? Yeah, we got sidetracked.
We found the smashed loot, and we saw the three
okay.
pools with the chanting cultists with the red swirly liquid that we're going to have to eventually deal with.
What do you guys think of that?
Nothing good.
Yeah, I mean, all of us as players know a bit more about those pools
Well,
because
now we do.
we've played more than it's been released. But at the time, I don't know what I thought. Not much, really.
The word summoning pools is
It's obviously not
good.
good, but what are they summoning? Who knows?
This is not new to us. I mean, we saw the summoning. We've seen a few, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, and especially around Erica, and, you know.
They do like to summon stuff, don't they?
They sure do.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
It's like they don't think they can take us themselves, so they got to call in reinforcements.
Yeah.
Bunch of summoners.
Bunch of cowards.
They're scared of us, so that's what I'm getting from this.
We can make some assumptions.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah.
It's not going to be good, and it needs to be stopped.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I
can
think
imagine.
those are fair
Yes.
conclusions.
Well, and you I mean, it's how can you not think that it's got to help them get into the city? I mean, what else would they be doing it for, right? Like, what the hell else could it possibly be
Kicks
to
and
do
giggles?
it? Like,
I
Yeah.
wouldn't jump to that conclusion, Leland.
Oh,
I
okay.
assume they're trying to summon some balloons or something
Yes.
to help celebrate.
They want to party. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's why there's a timetable here, right? When you're looking down at that and you see that going on, you know, they know the dome's there.
Yeah.
They have something that they're going to be able to bring in and go through that dome.
They've got something up their sleeves. That
I mean, if they couldn't, well, they would just pack up and leave. Oh, we can't get in there.
yeah,
So
Yeah.
it was a good try, good effort. Sorry.
it's not good for sure.
okay, so that actually kind of answers a question that I did have about that, because I was kind of surprised at the time that you all didn't take more time surveying and like basically scouting, because you had those spy glasses, you had a perfect view. You know, I thought, well, you know what, maybe they'll take some time and like keep an eye on the larger tents, right? But you didn't do any of that. But obviously,
Listen,
again,
this is not a surveillance op, okay? This is a half-baked plan.
Sure.
It's
This
a hack
is
and
the
slash.
Incorrigibles.
That's a fair point, though, because I know other groups do more of that. Like they do scouting. Like they'll post a watch and see, you know, are there guards that have
No.
paths that they
You
go
take
on?
5 seconds to observe what's going on. You make all kinds of assumptions about everything, and then you run towards it. That's
Yeah,
how this
exactly.
works.
You make Shaft happy, you move on. You just go with
Well,
what he says.
I mean, to what end, right? So you stand there and you look through the spyglass and you see Erica. We already can assume that. We see Chucky and we see Sardos. You know, we pretty much already know all that. Let's say this big demon-like thing comes out of the pit as we're standing there looking at it. How does that change things?
Okay, I mean, that's a good point. But your plan was to sneak in to the group, find Erica, and kill her.
Yes.
The pit of
Wouldn't it be
information you have
nice?
is where the hell is
Yeah.
Erica, which tent is
Yeah.
hers.
That's what I'm saying.
So I was like, oh, okay, that was something they probably could have learned, but who knows how much time you would have wanted to stick up there.
Even if you see her walking out of the main tent, you still have an hour or more at best case scenario to get there. Who knows where the hell she'll be at that point in time.
I do think this was at the peak of my frustration, and that's where, like, I wasn't thinking even clearly at that point, because I was like, this is useless, and that's where a break can reset your mind as well, but...
I think I know that it's not going to be as easy as going in there and stabbing her, and it's all over, right? It's not going to be that easy.
No, you just walk up to her and stab her in the back with your sword.
That's what Shakara
pretty-
thinks is
yeah.
going to happen. She's just going to
Exactly.
One blow and she's done.
Dendar's gonna set it up for me. I'm gonna walk up and I'm gonna stab her.
Yeah. You're the bowling ball and she's the last pin sitting in the
Really?
aisle
So,
there.
so just how literally is Shakara taking these visions that she's had now?
Super literally.
Obviously.
Yeah, that was why Shakara said I need to be the one that kills her. Because that's what Shakara saw.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you think any of us took that to heart?
No, not at all.
No.
Falzarin
No.
is hoping that you put a sword in his hand and guide it into her. So that
Just
Like
he
ghost,
still gets
I'm gonna
credit.
ghost you like you're doing the pottery wheel.
Yes,
I'm gonna sit
yes.
behind you and guide your hand.
I was just gonna say, yeah, like showing them how to putt, like put your arms around
Yeah,
them
this is
on
like the
a date.
gold stance. And Falzarin's like, I did it! I killed her! Crown me, son!
Shakara's Patrick Swayze.
Isabella, where's my power? Get at me, girl!
Well, as far as Shakara and Falzarin have come now in their reconciliation, there's still maybe this will be another thorn in that relationship, but who knows? Who knows how they'll overcome this? I mean, what happens if Falzarin ends up dealing the killing blow, which he often sneaks in and does?
Never once has he done that.
I literally thought you were about to finish that with, what if Falzarin dies? Because we did talk about that possibility.
I think Falzarin is kind of like, he doesn't really think that killing Erica is going to be like, okay, sweet, now Isabella and I are great buds and she gives me all this power and boosts my hit points, 30 extra points, and it's all great. So I think Falzarin's not going to lose a lot of sleep if Shakara is the one to do it. He wants Erica dead because he thinks Erica's bad, and also he's going to continue to slowly die as long as
Is Erica
Erica's
just
alive.
misunderstood, though?
Could be.
Apparently everybody is.
Well, that brings us to my favorite line from session 90. Tenchi gives us the Orb of Silence, explains how it works, and Falzarin says, "You had me, it may not work as intended."
Yes. That was such a good line.
Good old Tenchi. Tenchi's one of my favorites.
Yeah, Tenji's great.
Speaking of Tenchi,
He's a good man.
we have a question. Tenchi's indirectly related.
From Brit.
Is Falzarin gonna get a new bitey?
Yeah, so Britt, Falzarin would love another Bitey because Bitey was amazing. And,
Except for the one attack where he wasn't.
well, yeah, he got a bit carried away. But I think the way Tenchi works is that he'd have to somehow come across those specific supplies to be able to make another Bitey. Is that right, Leland?
He, at the time when you got him, he had basically the list he gave you in the animal part, because he was combining the ingredients, and much of it was
Yeah.
components and pieces of these animals that he was basically instilling and imbuing into his ink. He would have to procure maybe some more giant shark parts kind of thing. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I know a guy.
They are finite. You do. Yeah. They are finite ingredients. Absolutely.
Interesting.
We do have more tattoos, though, so...
I know a shark guy.
So potentially we could get a tattoo of a young Kraken.
Oh.
You can collect some parts. Maybe Tenchi can do something for you.
Ooh,
That'd
what
be
about a
cool.
Hydra? You mean we killed a Hydra?
Why are we
Looks
not
like
harvesting parts of all these things we
harvest
killed?
parts? Harvest parts.
I didn't realize that's how the tattoos worked.
What kind of parts does he need is the question. Because
Yeah,
I'm not
we have to
touching
ask.
Hydra balls. I'm not
Toenails?
Hydra balls?
How do you know it was
Oddly
even a
enough.
male Hydra? It could have been a female.
doing it.
True. Yeah.
Okay. Some call the ovaries
Just
the balls
don't-
of the female.
Just let's move on. Let's move on.
Eye
moving
rolls
right
don't
along.
translate to podcasts. you
Session
guys.
91.
Woo.
Finally, we get to the forking path. Dreg lets you down. I mean, there was a bit of conversation with Dreg, too, back in the keep kind of thing. And this was where we had taken our break. But eventually, you get out of the city, decide, we're going to get some wizards to make you invisible. Let's get out of the city. Go check out
Yeah.
this forking path.
How relieved were you when we actually decided to go check out the forking path? Because it was touch and go.
It was touching. Yeah, it was. I was glad that you went down there. Yeah, because like it's kind of important that you go down there. But I mean, you could have just walked right by it again.
And we almost did.
You kept mentioning the symbols of a layer to Shakara and I, but again, listening back, you hear it more obviously than when you're playing and thinking of other things, right? So
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't expect us to find the lair. Like I had a suspicion that the lair was somehow underneath the island or something like that, but I didn't anticipate us finding it on land. So I was surprised to actually see the Kraken right there.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be more like Erica's place.
Yeah, exactly. I thought it'd be submerged somewhere, and I thought we probably weren't going to stumble across it, but we might stumble across something else that's related to it, that's set up under there with bad guys. But
we were going to get there in the sub boat.
Same.
Right?
Same,
Yeah.
honestly.
Oh, interesting. Wow, if that place was underwater and you had went in there, you guys would have been fucked.
Yes.
yeah, I figured we'd come across some bad guys set up doing some stuff, and then if we wanted to, venture out into the water, we could find the lair of the actual Kraken.
That's true. In any other situation, though, had you found the Kraken's lair, you would have been fighting the Kraken.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, if it was underwater, most likely it would have been like the Kraken out in a boot,
Yeah.
doing his thing and being all
Wow,
Krakeny.
so Canadian.
and you might have been pretty fucked. Could you imagine having to fight the juvenile Kraken on top of the Hydra and two water elementals?
No,
No.
we'd be dead.
No, and I mean, I still am not sure that, like, at this point in the recordings, like, I wasn't sure if we were going to be fighting it or not, honestly.
Right.
Well, then also, if it had been out of the crystal chamber, it would have been Kralakina. It wouldn't have been just the Kraken anymore.
Very
Oh my gosh.
potentially that process could have already
Which we
happened.
now know.
So
Yeah.
had you delayed going to this forking path, by the time you maybe come back, I mean, honestly, if you've skipped it this second time, there's no way you would have came back to that. I really highly doubt that you would have even have ended up being back there.
No.
Yeah.
Therefore,
It would've been too
Kralakina
late.
could potentially have gone, unchecked in finishing what was happening.
Matron's vessel would have called forth Kralakina, and then we would just all have been screwed and starting a new campaign, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, how do you guys feel about other RPGs?
I want to be a cultist in the next campaign. It's gonna be set in Aspara. Yeah, I'm really glad we went to. I mean, I was at the time feeling like logically, like, what can it hurt to spend 5-10 minutes to walk down and see what we see, right?
Yeah.
Just makes sense. We're there. Like, let's have a quick peek, and there's the potential that it's going to sidetrack us and going to get into a battle, which is exactly what happened. But
it's better to know.
Right.
Because there is a reason why all these cultists and whatnot are attacking the city.
yeah,
And now we know. Because they need to get to the Kraken. Do we know? Why are they attacking the city? I mean, they have access to the Kraken.
yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure, to be honest. I'm still unsure. I mean, we've played more than what is released, and I'm still not positive I know why they're
Other
attacking
than
the city.
summoning Kralakina, we really don't know why they want to conquer Heraklion.
I mean, they could have done that
specifically.
without attacking the city.
Yeah.
They were pretty
Yeah, I
damn
mean-
safe down in that tunnel. Nobody was
Yeah.
bothering them. All they did was draw attention to themselves.
Yep.
Yeah, honestly.
So there maybe there's still something within the city that they need.
No, I mean...
Could be.
Oh, Leland, don't smile at that. Damn it.
Yeah, this is ridiculous.
He's doing his smile where it's like
It's
he's
part of
kind
the
of
show.
smiling, but also like, don't notice I'm smiling, please.
He's like, oh man, I thought they knew more than they know. This is crazy.
That's the story of this campaign. Yeah. That's,
Yes. Yep.
So we go in there, we see the big rainbow tank, right? We do the fights. And, I think one of the things we all had on our mind is that's the phlogiston.
Yeah.
But also they were dumping barrels of black goo,
Yeah.
right?
They're resuscitant.
They're making a mixed drink.
But Mia did get a little bit of pure
Yes.
phlogiston.
We sure did. If
Yeah, I
that
mean,
is
we don't know how
phlogiston,
much...
which it seems like it is, but
Pretty sure. We don't know how much we need. We don't
I'm sure
know
that's enough.
that my blood is celestial enough. I don't know. It's just all...
We're just gonna half-ass this plan of getting Falsey out from Isabella, same as we half-ass
We're gonna get
everything
half
else.
the scapulet off, okay?
We'll pry it off.
Scapulet is such a disgusting word. I hate it. I
The
hate it
wound
so
that's
much.
left behind is just going to be forever oozing.
Ugh.
Who told you if you removed the scapulet you'd die?
I don't think
Isabella?
anyone did.
Nobody.
Oh, so it's just theory. We
So
can
let's
just pry
cut
that
it
baby
out.
off.
Get away from my scapulet. It's very tender.
Can we stop saying that word?
Ew, tender.
It hurts. Shaft keeps poking it.
He does like to
That's what
pokey
she
pokey.
So you make pretty short work of these three cultists. I mean, I don't know what happened. I totally flubbed this surprise round that you all should have gotten with those stealth rounds. I don't know what I was thinking in the moment. I don't know what was going on. But at least Shaft got a shot off and then before he rolled initiative.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, you took it down pretty easily. Like if they could hit you, they hit very hard.
Yeah.
They were harder than the regular cultist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A crit on those like thunder punches or whatever they're called.
Hand farts.
Hand farts, yeah. A crit on the hand fart, you're dead because they do those. That attack does 5d10.
Whoa.
Oh,
crap.
damn.
That'll one-shot Falsey.
If they have crit, the way we do our crits, yeah, it's max base damage and then they roll on top of it. So that's at least 60 damage depending on what they roll, or 55 damage depending on what they roll. That someone would take.
That's absurd.
Wow.
That's bonkers.
I did feel like they hit really hard, and I was
Yeah.
like, wow, why are these guys more powerful?
Their 2-hit is only like a +5 or something, so it's like not that great of a 2-hit, especially against like Shakara and Mia. And
Yeah.
even Shaft's defensive duelist, though, is really good. Like, I think that stops Shaft from getting hit at least once, maybe 2 instances.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it pops up to 19.
It makes sense, but they wouldn't put the lowly new recruit in charge of the actual Kraken.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, well, I think they covered us in darkness. We're starting to come onto things that are using tactical things to their advantage too that we haven't necessarily always run into, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do we get out of this situation?
I think, like, while we still did perform quite well against them, the stakes are getting higher. Like, all it takes is a couple bad rounds against opponents like that, and we're in a bad situation pretty quick.
And Shakara's down.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was most worried about the Hydra, and I think I was most surprised at how fast, when we all concentrated on it, how fast it went
So
down.
you took it down in 2 rounds, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe
It was quick.
3. It attacked 2 times, I think, and it was dead.
Yeah, I was
Mia's
worried
kind
about
of
it
a big
too.
deal.
And then, yeah.
But the fire damage, even though the sphere was only doing like 3 or 5 damage, like that's stopping its heads from growing back, which also gives it more hit point. It gets 10 hit points, I believe, per head it grows back when it grows. So,
And I think regular Dave commented,
Regular Dave.
David Dave said, why
did I
flaming
use
sphere
flaming
instead
sphere
of...
instead of...
I
Fireball.
thought we were calling Super McDad Regular Dave now because
Oh, I still
Alright.
call him David Dave.
we do have multiple Daves. We don't want to insult all of the Daves,
That's
just
right.
David.
that's
Dave.
true.
We don't want to.
Regular Dave 1, regular Dave 2, regular Dave 3.
David Dave and Hoovy and Dave.
Hoovian Dave,
Yeah.
yes.
So anyway, yes, Fireball is a great spell, but I wanted to do fire damage over multiple rounds. So that's why the flame.
Yeah. And there was actually, again, because this was a break in our play sessions kind of through this, even though through our very professional podcasting abilities and through masterfully crafted post production, it's very fluid and sounds as if we had just continued to play.
Yes, Leland, you did a good job at it.
we had some conversations about the capabilities of the Hydra off mic that weren't distinctly discussed in these episodes, right? Like, and I think maybe I offhandedly mentioned after one of its turns how like the fire was preventing it from growing back to, but like it was never like explicitly stated like I stated to you as players off.
what
mic,
you're saying is we all Googled it. Okay.
but- there you go. You had a chance to look up Hydra stats and
You put
cheat.
something vulnerable to fire up against 3 people that use fire.
Yeah, I know. It wasn't a very good matchup for the Hydra. It was definitely the underdog.
But there was also some water elementals too, right? So
You're right.
there's a balance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Those elementals, MVP. Woo, damn. They're
hurt.
cool. I like them.
They hurt.
Yeah.
I'd used up all my spell slots, damn it.
Oh, no. But honestly, though, they're not very smart, and they weren't really fighting all that effectively. They really just should have been going in for the pounds and instead of trying to underwhelm you.
Yes.
Because, like, anytime I need to get you all to do a freaking saving throw, there's no hope in hell with Shakar's goddamn aura. Like literally, most of the time, it's you have to like get a 1 or a 2 before you'll fail. Like,
Well, you got Falsey to use as inspiration, so
true.
That is true.
that's some resources you sucked away.
So we need our patrons to give us inspiration to the players,
Yeah,
not to Leland.
No.
Yeah,
No, they don't want us.
I can't even count how many of our patrons have given inspiration to Leland. It's absurd.
It's
All of
lovely,
them.
yes. Yeah.
It's
And
ridiculous.
for those patrons that have yet to communicate to whom you want to give their inspiration, please do. I will be reaching out through Patreon too, though. I'm going to send a message to everybody.
I'm pretty sure I asked Jess and she said she's giving it to you.
We're going to start using it. I'm going to start using all of this lovely inspiration that I have, and we're having a death. Someone's inspiration is going to result in a death. I
please
can
no.
predict it now.
How do I shut down the Patreon again?
Yeah. We don't need that bad.
Oh
I
boy.
will say that as far as like using away our resources, in this fight, in this cavern, as you call it, lair, as others call it, I
called it
some
both. Just FYI.
Okay, well, I used some healing for once and some spell slots to be a buffer and stuff.
Yeah,
I'm
Yeah, that
trying.
bless was nice.
you're
I'm
such a cleric.
trying.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be a cleric, guys.
I can understand the tough spot you're in though, because Mia does ridiculous damage.
I mean,
Yeah, she does.
let's even just quickly mention this. Leland and I just discussed it this week. I'm not even using my hammer
Yeah.
properly. My hammer is even more powerful than I thought. When I chuck my hammer, it's 4d8 damage.
Yeah, it's a D8 of bludgeoning, a D8 of thunder or lightning, and 2d8 of lightning. So there's lots of
That's
damage types
absurd.
going on for one.
It's
That you get a
absurd.
big, but like so most of that is the hammer, but also that's her cleric abilities.
Yeah, I was going to say, does that include her divine strike?
It does include her divine strike.
Since leveling up, exactly. So we're only using 3
right,
for a
which we've
while.
forgotten about until now. But I actually did
Just crazy.
Because we used D&D Beyond. I did a quick audit of your character sheets a couple days ago, actually, and just to make sure we've all got some of these items that we've been given in the past, like episodes and episodes ago, but forget. Everything looked good.
Such a benevolent
Except for Falsey, who
DM.
doesn't put his items on his D&D Beyond sheet, but that's fine.
I don't put them on my pen and paper sheet either.
Yeah, exactly.
That wand of
I just
secrets.
rely on my infallible memory.
But I mean, I will say that it's been a difficult choice sometimes to be like, do I buff now? When do I buff? When do I guidance now? What do I?
Because it feels like a wasted action, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. And I know you've got some healing, but like when you're down, it's nice that my healing hands is once a long rest, and there you go. At least you're back up on your feet,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But
Well, we had another instance in which the initiative order played a part, this time in the party's favor. Last time, not so much when Bryn died. But here, immediately after
Ouch.
Shakara went down, Falsey had a turn to come over and stabilize her, which was
Right.
really
Oh, yeah.
which was really good.
Because I was on 2 fails.
I mean, I had Revivify prepared, so
Oh, good.
I have it prepared now.
Good idea.
It is
Damn it.
currently and probably forever prepared at this
Probably
point.
a good idea.
If I were playing a cleric, I probably wouldn't be able to convince myself to not prepare it, because it's just such an important
I mean,
spell
and
to
if
have.
it wasn't prepared, what does Leland know? He doesn't, like, audit my
Exactly.
spell preparations.
I don't. Yeah, that's exactly right. I foolishly trust that my players will not cheat.
I mean, all those crits that John gets, like I
Holy
said, he's
hell.
I
just...
tell you what, I have put that die aside. That is my favorite die now, and I'll use that
I mean, I believe you, but at the same time, I don't believe you.
only in critical
in our
situations.
favor.
Is that one going to come out?
Falsey's been rolling a lot, but like historically, Falzarin has been just awful when it comes to rolling die. But the tables have turned a little bit lately. I'm using the same dice, so
Yeah, well, I think you're getting the balance of averages here, and you
Yeah.
roll so many dice. There's so much opportunity to roll low, but also roll high. Finally, you're coming back around to the high rolls.
Yeah.
Oh man, I thought this fight in general was going to be much more difficult, and the four of you just really cleaned up. I mean, yeah, Shakar went down, but man, you've handled it very well. I mean, Shaft had a beautiful spot on top of this dead Hydra, flinging arrows all over the place.
Oh,
like,
that was awesome.
Yeah.
it was very
You know,
good.
water elementals can't climb a high.
Cannot climb a Hydra.
But a flaming sphere can climb a shaft.
Flaming Shear can jump a shaft, no problem.
Jump a shaft.
it's just physics, guys.
I do think after this play session is when John was reminding me for Mia, because I think Mia's still naive in my eyes, but you know, she did the final blow to the Hydra, one of those water elementals, like, I need to start acting a little bit more like, okay, I've got this.
Yeah.
You're building some confidence, I think, for sure.
I think Shaft is helping me build that confidence, knowing that he looks up to me so much as like the most powerful, right? But I don't feel that way.
And I can turn one of us into a giant ape.
Yeah.
At the worst possible moment.
Hold on. Once we start talking about this part, Emily can only talk like an ape the rest of the after party. So we need to be careful about when we breach this subject.
Well, polymorph is tough because I had it in my back pocket. I was just waiting for the right time to use it. But ideally, you wait until someone's kind of almost dead to use it because they've used up all of their hit points, and then you give them a fresh pool of hit points, right?
Or you do it right in the beginning and let them go wild.
Exactly.
Really?
You gotta let them go
Yeah.
ape shit. Because regardless of when
Literally.
their character, you literally let them go ape shit. Regardless of when their character's hit points get used up, they still have an additional pool of hit points.
I
Well,
suppose.
now she's an ape and the bad guys are gone.
Shakara ape punched one time, did 20 damage with one of her,
Yeah.
like two attacks, I assume it probably has. So if she was doing that all fight, consistently doing like 20 plus damage, I don't know how well she rolled, but for that entirety of that fight, I don't know. I think it happens different. Imagine instead of blinking, you polymorph Shakara into an ape right away when the Hydra was still alive. And obviously, yes, you cleaned up the Hydra really easily, but I don't know how that would have changed how Shaft would have went. And yeah, he was dubious of this giant ape suddenly being formed. But if he saw Shakara ape, like, I just picture Shakara ape, like, grappling this Hydra, like we have fucking King Kong against Ghidorah or something, like these two huge fucking things. And then maybe Shaft could have gone off and focused on the elementals instead, maybe having
Right.
a little more confidence of Hydra, of Shakara ape taking on the
Yeah,
Hydra.
it's a defensive thing too, is I am now a barrier to anything coming at you.
True.
Absolutely, yeah. Although your blink was very good. Blink was MVP,
Yes, it
I think,
was.
for Palsy.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
saved my butt.
Yeah.
I mean, you got an hour as an ape. I mean, that's what I'm saying, is the bad guys will be gone if you do it at the end.
So
of
you
the
can't
fight.
blink and polymorph?
Yes, I could.
Okay.
Blink doesn't require concentration,
Okay.
That's right. Yeah.
which is just
So
it's
good.
such a good spell.
So good.
Oh,
yeah.
man.
Blink would
so
be
good.
garbage if it required your concentration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would be
really-
straight
Yeah.
garbage.
really suck. But the other thing that I had thought of as well is that as soon as I turned someone into a giant ape, they lose any of their extra abilities that they have, like any ability to do any sort of magical damage or anything like that.
True.
Well, that's why I'm good. I mean, I do some fire damage, which was nice, but if we come up against something that isn't vulnerable to fire damage, it's good for me to be polymorphed into something that has a whole lot more strength and can potentially do more damage. Because otherwise, I'm just a sword.
I suppose, yeah. But you have healing abilities that you would
Some.
lose as soon as you're the ape.
No, that's true. Definitely valid points.
But I see the point of if you're just strictly thinking about the temporary hit points, it doesn't really matter the order. Like, you might as well just pop it off right away.
Could you polymorph yourself into an ape and then continue to blink?
No. Or sorry, if you had
you
cast Blink first,
Oh.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Dude, you need to just polymorph yourself. It feels good to deal damage. You need to experience that for once.
Well, and then also, well, I guess in this instance, the flaming sphere would be gone anyway. So I guess that's a moot point. Saying like he could still maybe use his bonus action to control the sphere because you do have the concentrate polymorph.
Right.
But I don't know. I think it's pretty smart polymorphing some of your party members instead of yourself, though.
Because if I polymorph there's a couple reasons why I don't think I will use polymorph on Falzer in a combat scenario. Because A, I'm still required to maintain concentration while I'm up swinging at people. So if they hit me back, I should make a concentration check every time I get damaged. Right?
Yes, that's true. But I mean, yeah. Obviously, I would think those still, with especially a giant ape's stats,
he'd have a
and
sweet
Shikaro's
con.
aura, you would have to roll very low to fail that, but it's still very valid.
The other point that I've thought of against doing that is that once that giant ape's hit points get brought to 0, if he's still in the thick of it against some powerful enemies, now you've got Falzer in. Right in the middle, just getting smashed.
Yeah, that would not be good.
It might only take 1 round for Falzer to go down.
True.
So it's kind of scary.
You could overextend, right?
Super true. Not normal true.
I think you're doing a few things, right? You're tactically making yourself somebody else a tank. Or you can look at it like a little shield guardian that you create. Yeah. A little thing that helps. And then the second thing, I mean, thematically is look at it from the cultist or the Hydra or whatever you're fighting's perspective. All of a sudden this massive ape appears, which is sort of the point Shaft is trying to make. You see this thing just appear, and there's psychological advantages there. I mean, not game mechanically, but role play wise. Yeah, and one thing I think we don't do, most D&D players don't do enough is that ability. When will people run away when something really scary comes up to the average type of, kobolds and things like that? You kill half of their population and they're going to take off and bolt. What would a cultist do when they see a giant ape or something else? How many of them would bolt? Mm-hmm. Right? Those kind of things are something else.
The running away thing is something that I think it happens very, very rarely in D&D.
Because we heroes, bro.
It's rare so far in our campaign.
Ride or die.
Mostly because, as of late, especially, the enemy is not getting chances to flee because you just decimate them. So that's also a thing, right?
Take no prisoners.
And obviously in this instance with the Hydra and the water elementals, there's no scenario in which either of those creatures would have fled.
Yeah.
Oh, not at all.
Yeah, but it's absolutely in other situations. You got to keep that in mind, 100%.
So now that we're all seeing this new stuff that each of us can do, we can tactically sort of work better together.
Have some discussions about it, and what, the tactics, you may feel like it's metagaming too, but it's so easy to just hand wave that collectively as a party you would have these discussions.
Yeah.
Right. We don't have to play them out. We don't have to role play out the discussions of you discussing tactics with all of your abilities. Right. Because that's what's going to ultimately lead to you being more cohesive, in which we've seen the 4 of you have become way more cohesive in these last dozen or so episodes even.
Yeah, I agree.
But we are together 24/7, basically. We spend all our time together. We would talk more than what is actually portrayed.
Yeah.
Right.
For sure.
Yep.
Well, anyways, you ultimately finished this bloody fight, which I thought was going to be very challenging and supposed to be a deadly encounter, which was barely that.
It was scary though. I was worried, very much so. So there's that at least.
Well, okay, I guess. Make Bill
I was more worried thinking about the Kraken after this fight.
Coming
but it was
out.
you know what? It was don't hold back. I just really have had to play. Don't think 2 steps ahead. If your life's in danger here, use what you've got. Do what Mia would do, because Mia would take, upcast whatever spell she needed to get herself out of whatever bind she was in currently, not thinking 2 or 3 steps ahead. So, anyway, hopefully we can break your scapulet, Falsey. It'll be fun. Fun times.
There will be no breaking of the scapulet.
I've got a couple drops of phlogiston to put in your mouth, and a couple drops of my blood I could put in your mouth, and...
Yeah, bada bing, bada boom. Super easy. Easy peasy.
Bada bing, bada Boom! Scabula disappears. I mean, you could kill Erica too. Whatever you want.
Hey, I'm happy to be free of the scabula, but we're not trying to peel it off without going through some ritual.
Yeah, it's not an actual scab
Stop
that you could
talking.
probably bleed a little bit, maybe peeling your scab a little early, but
Yeah.
So what do you guys think about our quick little investigation of the Kraken's lair?
well, I mean, there was some talk about maybe Dreg having something to do with its creation, as it was, it's similar construction to what's protecting the city and that kind of thing.
That's
hard
the
to miss
real
that.
question is,
Mhm.
as
Who
far
made
as
it?
we know, Dreg's the only person who's capable of crafting that type of barrier, but yet here's another barrier with
Here's
a
another
kraken inside it.
Ah, Dreg. No, we can't. Leland can't do this again. Dreg can't
Another
be bad.
betrayal.
Not Dreg. Surely not Dreg.
Not Dreg. Anybody but Dreg.
Didn't you say that Dreg's one of your new favorite NPCs?
Oh, I love Dreg. Yeah, I
that
love
should have
Dreg.
been a tip off.
That should have been the tip off.
Well, I mean, obviously, yeah, I don't know. I do really like Dreg. I just picture him just so worn down, doing everything he can to keep this fucking dome up, and he's in rough shape right now. He's not sleeping.
he is in rough shape, but then we think instantly he's encasing the Kraken.
Dreg's a hero, and yeah, I won't hear anything different.
He's sweating drops of blood, and we're like, he made this.
No, I think there's more to it. Someone else has their hand stirring the pot, and has figured out how to replicate it.
We need to find out how to get a familiar ape in real life, because the Shakara and Shaft as an ape in Shaft was really good. I love it. We keep that going. Where Shaft just gets lifted up onto things by big animals. I mean, it's fun.
I bet Shakara Ape could throw Shaft really far.
Yeah.
Just
we
like
should
a
test
football.
And he can hold his little wands out and roll a
Like serial
Naruto draws
assault.
to life.
Well, if you just toss Shaft up as he's wielding his bow, he just sails over everybody firing arrows on him.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, these are tactics we do need to discuss.
Yeah.
Ugh. Well, and we end finally with hopefully going to meet with Dreg and who I think was Jacqueline and some unknown wizard coming down to help you all become invisible.
Yep.
Yes.
Da, 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 and that's our show.
Yeah, that's our show. Happy adventuring. Dean asks, whose idea was having the after parties? Is this an industry standard? I think it's brilliant either way. When are you guys getting action figures?
That's a lot of questions.
There's a lot of questions. Yeah.
I don't remember.
It was
who
Leland.
came up with
I'm
it.
pretty sure.
Honestly, I want to say it was my idea, but that's kind of selfish. I know. I
No.
understand.
I'm pretty sure it was Leland's idea.
Yeah, I don't distinctly recall.
The title after party was my
No, that for sure was mine.
dubbing.
That was for
No.
sure me. Yeah, that was
No,
for sure
it
me.
was not.
In
It was
fact,
for
I
sure me.
I don't recall a single instance of you ever coming up with a cool sounding name at all. Everything.
Oh my gosh.
It's always
the title
me.
after party was 100% me. 100%.
I do have a document that's dated. That's in our Dropbox that has all my ideas in it, so we can go look at those.
Oh, there we go. We have a record now.
Transcribed all of your ideas.
For sure, I don't know whose idea the actual having of an after party was, but the title is all me.
Well, I think we discuss things. We all come up with stuff as we're talking about,
Yeah.
and we go, "Ah, would be cool," and then somebody else expands on it. and
Absolutely.
I think it's very much a mixture of all of us coming up with things, and the original idea usually gets molded into something that's even better than whoever came up with it originally.
Yeah. As far as it being an industry standard, I don't. I certainly, it's not. But I think you'll find there are a handful of other RPG podcasts that do have some type of introspective on their episodes as they progress, kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's fun. I love doing the after party. I mean, obviously, a lot of the thinking behind it was the after party gets to show the listener us as players,
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
And then obviously the sessions show us as characters, kind of more so, right?
The after parties show what the hell we were thinking when we did that thing.
Right, exactly. I think it's really fun. It's
fun.
Because obviously we always have questions for each other. I mean, I always have questions on some of your actions, what the hell your characters are thinking.
Honestly, without the after parties, I think we would have a lot less information that we're working with because we end up with more information from you.
That is
true.
Well, I realize how little information you pick up on, which actually reminds me.
I feel like we just got insulted.
we did.
It reminds me of something in 92 that Shaft actually said near the end. Like, immediately John picked up on the resemblance of the pentagonal structure and the dome, and like, well, maybe Dreg can get in with his ring. That was great, because that's exactly what I was trying to allude to. So that was perfect. I was so happy that you, like, immediately John picked up on that. That was great.
And none of us thought of it, except for John.
I thought blinking into it. That would have been brilliant.
Oh,
sure.
I wish you had tried that.
That would not have ended well for Falzarin.
No, I would have been
There's
dead.
no way.
Also, I don't know about the action figure question. John could maybe paint minis.
They're in production.
Yeah, you know, with the pandemic, there's been some delays, but they're coming.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Can you imagine if we had action figures? Man, that would be awesome.
Well, it would be really cool to have action figures of your characters. That'd be
Our
awesome.
characters would have to survive.
Could it be like one where you push a button and they have a catchphrase?
Oh,
That
yeah,
would
like
be
a pull
cool.
string.
I'm not sure
Yeah,
if we
like
can
a-
afford that, guys. That's
like a pull
that's pushing
string.
the budget.
And Falzarin's like,
Oh, yeah. What would Falzarin say? Hi, I'm Falzarin. I trust you.
This
He
is
would
my
either
They're just misunderstood.
They're misunderstood, or I can hold my breath
would
and swim
say-
well.
I can swim really, really.
Yeah,
I can
right.
hold my breath for a really long time.
I would say that,
India.
you know, by the power of Thor.
Yeah, it'd
Yeah,
be like, by
yes.
the power of Thor.
What would Shafts be?
I don't trust him.
It'd be like, hey, baby.
Oh, yeah.
Hey,
There you
baby.
go.
And Chikara's would be like,
Eat flame.
flame.
Eat flame. That's obvious.
Well, then, like, we could put out, like, Gozer and Thuff, so that they would be a limited run, because they're dead, and,
Yes.
like,
Yes.
they become collector's items.
What would
To
Thuffs be?
Blave.
What would Thuffs
Oh
be?
my gosh.
We could hang on to them, keep them in their original packaging, and that'll be our retirement.
What would Thuffs be? It's been so long since I've had to be Thuffed. I don't even know how to do his voice anymore.
Oh man.
It's like, it would probably something be like, yes, King
King.
Gozer, or something like that.
Yes,
yeah.
King. Yes, King.
Yes. I miss Thuff.
Yeah, no,
good
that would
times.
be very, very cool. Why have we not thought of this
question,
before?
Dean.
Way to go, Dean.
If you want to help fund the action figure, become a patron.
Patreon.com/Incorrigible Party.
Oh, our Patreon is action figure exclusive at this point. Screw everything else.
Yeah, we need another stretch
We
goal.
can't see each other in person right now anyway.
I'll call Kenner.
Yeah, call Titterman and have him
Yeah.
give you some mock-ups.
I need a exclusive print run. We're looking at 10.
The more exclusive, the better, you know?
That's true.
Limited supply.
Like I'm saying,
high demand.
we each keep one of each and keep it in its original packaging, sell it on
Yeah.
eBay in 10, 20, 30 years. And
Well, exactly. That's the thing. The value
Then we
isn't in the
retire.
initial release, right? Like, yeah, we could sell them now, but like we don't make that money. Once those people that buy them resell them in a decade, they make the money. So we don't get anything for it.
So our podcast isn't immortalized for 20, 30 years? Okay. All right.
Well, they become more expensive when somebody dies, right? Like, I
There you
would think
go. I
the
mean,
Ren figure will
Again,
be much
you're the
more.
first
Yeah.
to go. You're the oldest, right? So, I mean,
No, he's
sorry.
talking about the players or
Oh.
the characters. I
Even though I'm older, I don't know if I'd bet my money that way.
I just sounded so mean because I misunderstood.
It's not the first time you've made that comment.
I don't think Dean was thinking that there would be action figures of us. I mean, mine would basically be Stretch Armstrong. I mean, I already have an action figure.
I like making fun of John's age. Occasionally, the jokes involve death. I'm sorry. That's a little too far. I'm sorry. Now we can get to Emma's question.
How much of a party does it need to be an after party?
It has to be at least 37.5% of a party before it qualifies to be an after party.
Why 37.5?
What do you mean why? It's this not so complex but still very algorithmic equation in which party goers and party planners, it's very standard industry, like party
True.
planning standard for the industry. It's
So
just
once you reach that
you plug in a bunch of
37.5,
factors. Exactly.
the algorithm jumps in. The algorithm then splits into several different options.
There you go. And then
You've
that's
got the 37.5 to 45%. Then you got the 45% to 70%.
different demos
So
of
if you get
partiness.
too many people, is it no longer an after party?
Well, no, because you can have over
No.
100% and still just be like 150%
Wouldn't it
party.
just be the same party in a different location?
No, because
Not necessarily
each
an after party.
At some point, the change happens into the after party. And I mean, an after party could technically have an after party.
What the heck are you
It
guys
could,
talking
yeah.
about?
Maybe that's where the spice is. Once you get to 200%, it splits into an after party. That's exactly.
And then
right.
there's the 200 to 237.5%. Then there's their 237.
And then it resets. Exactly. That's
Exactly.
exactly
It
right,
just
yeah.
it's a circle. We've talked about
It is
circles
a circle.
already.
It's a circle. It's an
freaking
algorithmic
perfect.
circle. I just can't get away from it.
I still don't think I understand the question.
There also needs to be
Streamers. There has to be streamers.
of course. There's got to be
Confetti?
streamers.
Twitch
There's got to be
streamers?
maybe a few balloons. I don't know.
Champagne?
Maybe.
Champagne? Mimosas. I like me a good mimosa. That's the morning after parties.
That's
The morning after party.
Oh boy!
That's a good one.
Look what you've done, Emma.
All right, there's your preview for this episode. There's a soundbite.
Yeah, that's the soundbite right there.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you were going to go with morning after.
That's what I meant. That's what I meant was the soundbite.
This is where we're digging deep
yeah,
into it.
we
This
need
is
to
what we're
stop
not
now.
going to do.
And I've been Bill and Falzarin.
Okay.
The problem with you starting is nobody knows what the hell to do
What's
next.
the order again?
Okay, anything else we want to talk about?
Nothing but the butt plugs, right?
Oh, yeah.
Usually,
Fill it in, Elena.
listen.
Yes, Discord. Our Discord is becoming more and more active. Hop on it if you're not already in there. You can find it if you look around the places. Website, Twitter, yada yada.
It's a treasure hunt.
Yeah, good luck to you guys.
Treasure hunt.
If
If you can find it, you are worthy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can find all the links at incorrigibleparty.com.
Yeah. We got merch. We've had more folks getting merch.
We
that's
got
always
Leelander
fun.
merch, kids. We got
Oh,
Leelander
goodness,
merch.
Yeah,
we
we
do
don't
have-
need to
on a-
promote that.
You can put it
No.
on a sleeveless shirt. It's perfect.
And that's it.
Yes.
That's the only way you can order it. Just
How do I
kidding.
shut down the merch store again?
Yeah, hashtag Team Lelanders is growing by the second. Like
At this point,
I have a counter
It is.
that it's dinging. You can't hear it obviously, but it's rotating. It's clicking.
Every time a new Team Leylanders merch gets sold,
An angel gets its wings.
An angel gets its wings, and Leyland's counter goes up.
Are you sure that's an angel?
More like a devil gets
I don't think it's an
inspiration.
angel.
that's true. All that inspiration is going to kill us, you guys. It's not funny.
Yes, as much as I like to joke about everyone giving, well, it's not a joke. Everyone is giving Leland inspiration.
And again, you give Leland inspiration by contributing to our Patreon.
But
so
yes, thank you.
Thank you.
We are blown away by how many people are very generously supporting us, and it's amazing. So thank you all.
It's ridiculous. We're just a bunch of people that are weird and having fun, and you're giving us money to do that, and it's crazy.
Yes, we're very grateful.
We're very grateful, and you might kill us. So I mean, we're grateful until that point, at least.
Honestly, this podcast certainly serves for myself as like a mental health therapy, especially in these times. God, it's so nice to be able to play.
Yes.
Just sit down and play with
Yeah,
the four of you.
sure.
Absolutely.
Goof
I
off
agree.
and escape.
Escape until you need to get up and take a break, and then come back to us.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
escape.
you must
okay.
escape.
Sorry.
Okay. No, it's been good. Oh man, you guys, the next episodes are so good.
They
Tune
sure
in,
are.
listen, they're so good.
We've got another NPC guest. We've already talked about this, but
A million times we've talked about it, but Matthew Jude.
yes, you may have heard of him.
Matthew
Wait.
Jude.
You were
Tense
waiting
silence.
for applause.
Yeah, we don't know what you're waiting for.
Listen, now that you acknowledge the silence, he has to leave the
It
silence
sits in
in.
there,
This
yeah.
is retarded. Oh,
Well, you know what?
come on.
Every time I say the name Matthew Jude, a blank state washes over my brain and face as well.
I loved having Matthew on the podcast. He was great.
It was so fun
He's
to
not
play
going to
with
be
the
on
fam.
for like another 3 episodes yet. So preemptive, premature. We're not quite there yet. Let's
Come on,
sign
get
the
there
fuck
already.
off and get out of here.
Anticipation is the best
Drug?
seasoning,
Oh.
or something like that. there's a saying.
Oh my gosh. Oh my god.
Let's just end it. Let's call it. Let's sign off.
Start us off, John.
All right.
Time of death.
I was waiting for it all to fizzle.
7:44 p.m. Call
All
it.
right. I've been John and Shaft.
I've been Emily and Shakara.
I'm Elena. Wait.
That's good enough. Go on.
I
Bill.
said my name really weird.
I've been Bill and Falzer.
No. Let me redo it. He can edit.
No.
Yes.
It's much better this way.
Listen, he can edit. I'm Elena and Mia.
I've been Bill and Falzer.
And I'm leaving Stu.
Please
Dear
edit
God.
it. Please.
Happy butt
Fucking
plugging.
30 fucking after parties, and we still can't.
Butt plugging.
Okay, here we go.
Oh,
We gotta clap.
We
Gotta
have to
clap.
sync. We have to sync up.
Jeez, Louise. You just forget everything?
I forgot
Oh
everything.
my gosh.
Wait a second. Here we go. After party 30.
Okay.
Let's clap.
Good gracious.
I'm done. I'm
What
stopping.
a mess.